new friends.
I don't know how I feel about this light.
Yeah, totally. You look so angelic, though.
I know, I'm glowing.
Okay, there's more.
And
also a little light.
Oh, that's better. I mean, I don't feel so glary.
Whoa.
Maybe we should. Wow. Hey. Yes. Hey. So, as you know, this is my friend Amy.
Thanks for having me back.
She's back.
You didn't kick me off.
I didn't kick you off. Well, I love you. I would never kick you off. So, if you're here watching, say hi. Hi, Melanie. Melanie and I have been going through it.
I've seen, this is awkward, but I've seen exchanges back and forth publicly.
Yeah.
So I recognize the name, but I couldn't recall the exact exchanges.
Melanie and I do a program together called The Candidate Secret Weapon.
Oh.
For women who are running for office.
Yes.
It's awesome.
That's where I recognize the name.
Hey, girl. Love you. So if you're here, say hi so that we can see you, because sometimes we can't. And I'm so happy you decided to come back on Facebook with me.
I feel like we both really liked that. And
we really did.
Other people did too.
Yeah. There's Kara. Yay!
Hi, Kara.
So anyway, I think they did too. And I don't know how we get your friends in here. Maybe I should because I couldn't tag you before.
Oh.
Let's see if I can share it. Let's see if I can do it again. Hey, Sarah. I can't invite everybody.
It's all right.
Because,
I'll share not live.
Not live.
That's
okay.
all right.
But your friends, maybe they'll show up. I don't know. They knew we were coming on, right?
A lot of my friends shared our conversation from last time. I think they're really interested at how we function together.
I think they are too. I noticed it was my biggest scoring video until Melanie and I did one that was really we got 1,200 hits.
That's so great.
Function Up Friday last week. So
good.
We're just killing it. Look at that. So anyway, we decided to really have a good conversation.
I'm nervous. I said this last time, but I'm nervous.
You're gonna be fine. I'm nervous about me. But we decided that this time we were gonna talk about feminism and Christianity, because why not just have complicated, difficult conversations about all the things. And ironically, this week has been an extremely trying week for the feminists in the world. And so I think it's kind of exciting we're having this conversation. Good. I think it's good. So you're the one who brought up the topic.
I did. I said, okay, if we were going to do another Facebook Live chat, I have the topic I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And you totally went with it. And I said the F word.
The F word.
And
hi, Liz.
I don't know if I told you what F word I was talking about, but
Cheryl says the picture is garbled. Is it because we're just so shiny, or we're moving around too much? That's weird. Your internet connection seems to be quite delightful.
Okay.
We don't look garbled on our end, Cheryl. So if that's true, I don't know what to do.
Or someone else validate, confirm or deny.
Yes, confirm or deny. But we're going to keep talking anyway because we're live.
So I thought feminism.
Feminism.
Because here's things I know.
Okay.
You own a pussy hat and I do not.
Yes.
You have participated and spoken at women marches. I have not. I admittedly, and this is where I feel...
Melanie says it's all good now.
This is where I feel really vulnerable, especially with your community and you, is that I don't understand feminism. And I'm a woman. I am a business owner. I coach other women in a very specific niche, not personal coaching, and it's not that I'm not for women at all.
Right.
But this, I don't get it. And I might have even felt kind of hurt by it a little bit. So I would like to have this conversation with you. And this is unplanned.
Yeah, we don't plan this. So what don't you get about being a feminist?
Okay. Let me share with you some of my context.
Okay.
That might be helpful to you.
Yeah.
And then also people watching.
Cool.
I grew up in a household of a mom and dad, and dad was affectionate and kind and attentive, and smart, lovely man. I love my dad. Hi, Dad. He shared this video last time with his friends. And so I have a really healthy relationship with my dad. And really kind of came from him not having such a relationship with his father and choosing how he wanted to have different relationships. So for me, that was a very positive relationship and is still. He's my business partner, so we must really like each other.
I love that.
One of my first jobs out of college was at a public relations company owned by women, 2 presidents, women, almost all leadership, women. My mom is a pastor, my mom. And a lot of denominations, a lot of theologies would interpret scripture to say women shouldn't be in leadership. Obviously, that's not the theology of our church, but I'm used to my mom teaching and leading and preaching with men. So as you kind of track maybe where my thoughts are, it might make more sense understanding the worldview with the experiences that I've had. Those are different than yours.
Well, sort of.
Okay, so tell me, maybe it'd be helpful for me to understand where this fire came from.
So the first thing that comes into my head is that you can thank feminism for all of those things that you've experienced. Because when I first found feminism in high school, one of the first quotes I ever heard, hey Marianne, hey Corey, one of the first quotes I ever heard was, feminism is the radical notion that women are people.
Okay, I'm all in.
Okay. And so,
but why is that radical? Okay.
Because at the time they said that,
okay,
it was the 50s.
Yeah. Right.
And the 60s.
Right.
And women were people, but they weren't encouraged to lead. They were encouraged to lead within the household, and they were encouraged to lead within certain spheres. But historically speaking, they weren't encouraged to become the pastors of their church. And men weren't encouraged to be affectionate and loving and kind to their children. Like that was not the case.
Yeah.
And so the first thing that comes in my head is, well, I'm so glad feminism worked out for your family. That's awesome. But the other thing I really love about feminism is that for me, and I think for a lot of women who describe themselves as feminists, and y'all, if you're on there, you can say, what's up? But I think for a lot of us, it gives us a theoretical framework from which to base our ideas. And it's what has happened with feminism is that it has become shameful and bad. We called it the F word, right? Like it's become, because it is so powerful, it has been turned into this thing that is something that is dirty and naughty and wrong. And that has happened. So by men who are afraid of women being all of the women that you have experienced in your life.
So it's interesting because you say, what did you say? Dirty, powerful. I can't remember. For me, when I hear the word, can I tell you the first word that comes to mind when you say feminism or feminist? So I don't know if I represent anyone else out there. Hopefully a few of you, and this is a meaningful conversation. When I hear feminist, I think angry.
Right.
Period. And some like angry victim really is the phrase. Like angry victim is feminism to me.
Why do you think victim?
I don't know. Those are, let's think. Why?
Where did you first learn that?
I don't know.
Like, where did you first learn that feminists are victims?
I don't know. Because I don't believe, I don't believe that we are innately weaker or anything. I don't know. But I feel like that glass ceiling that is real, like I am wired to then you bust. Like you, and not that you always can or will, but willpower. Where there's a will, there's a way, which is totally naive in some scenarios, I know. But so
you've been blessed with this upbringing that has allowed you to do those things.
Yeah.
Like that is the scenario that you were born into, being able to be like, I would just kick right through that.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing.
So instead of being mad and crying, I do something.
Right.
And so in that sense, it feels empowering and enabling.
Right.
But for some reason, the voice of feminism to me just kind of sounds like an angry victim.
Right. Okay.
Do you have speculation on where you think
well,
it started?
I mean, I think there's a couple reasons why. And Melanie actually is making a really good point here. So she said she grew up with the barefoot and pregnant, defer to your husband philosophy from dad, who's on his 5th wife, who's subservient. And he thinks women should be that way. And that's why feminism is important to her, is because in Melanie's world, she believes that women should not be subservient, right? And so Sarah can idea with the idea of angry victim. Why, Sarah? That's really interesting. I want to know why. And then Cheryl always hears, "Oh, you're a man hater," right? Yeah, bra burning lesbians.
Yeah. Wait, say that slowly. What?
Bra burning lesbians.
Bra burning lesbians.
Yeah, that's what feminists are.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
The man hating witches.
Okay, so wait. Okay, so I hear man hater, and what I replay in my mind is down with the patriarchy.
Right.
That sounds man hater, friend, but you say it all the time.
I do, because the patriarchy is a structure that makes it so that women can't be in the priesthood if they want to be. Like, they can't hold a position like that. The patriarchy says that we have structures in place that are not meant to be pushed. We have glass ceilings for a reason, and you're not allowed to go through those. It's our job to go through those. It's not your job to go through those. I wish there was an easier, Liz was told what a lady's supposed to be. Oh yeah. Just be a lady. Demure, right, Liz? Like, be demure.
Is this generational, I think? You think I'm benefiting from a different, I don't know.
I think you're benefiting. I think you're benefiting, I mean, from a lot of things. And this is the other thing that I think feminism really allows me to sort of look at my privilege and see where the spaces where I am more than equal and less than equal, and where I sort of fit. So for me, I am a white woman who's middle class, who has the ability, who's a PhD, for Christ's sake. Like, I have an education, have the ability to do all these things. But I'm also queer, and I'm also have a history of child abuse in my family, and poverty in my family, and all these other things in my family that could have held me back if it weren't for maybe my whiteness or some other things that allowed me to have privilege, like grandparents with money and those sorts of things. And so I think that some of this stigma around feminism, especially from the Christian community, I think goes back way further than anybody. I mean, I'm talking 1400s witch hunt stuff, right? Yeah. Like, women should not be empowered to be midwives and healers and all of the things. And so, I mean, like, look, we've started a conversation for sure. Corey thinks that coming out 40 years later because she's speaking out and saying what I feel. Sarah says she can identify the angry victim because it was the visual put in front of her as a way to discredit the message of the powerful woman. Melanie says that blaming and shaming and gaslighting language, the victim blaming, shaming is gaslighting language. And we are angry. Yeah. And, but what Melanie is saying there is about shaming silence. And I think you may have seen this in a lot of the work that you do. When people are silenced, we shame people into silence because, and you actually just said, it's when you and I were talking a little bit ago off camera, you said it's a risk to be seen because people can unchoose you. So I think for a lot of us, becoming a feminist and sort of embracing that identity as a part of who we are gives us sort of a sisterhood to fall back upon that allows us to be seen and know that we have a support system in the world, because we're going to say really risky stuff that could get us hurt. Okay,
my heart's racing a little bit because you're touching on something that I feel kind of emotional about.
Okay.
Women's March.
Yep.
When was that? A year ago? 2 years ago?
The one in January.
I don't know. Big one. National one.
The big, huge one?
Everyone.
Oh, that was 2016. Okay. 2017.
I have not felt more shame. This is a big statement. Than that day with all those women marching, I felt shamed in my silence. Because I felt like the whole world said this is for women except for you. Because I'm pro-life. And I wouldn't say anti-Trump. I didn't vote for him. Third party Switzerland. I didn't vote for him, neutral. But
that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, okay. I felt so like I got kicked out of the sisterhood. Because if I marched, I wouldn't have been accepted. Now, I know pro-life people who marched, and I know conservative women who marched. But when you read the news and looked at all the signs and what the agenda, and it was mostly pro-choice, mostly anti-Trump. And in fact, there was a pro-life organization that tried to be a sponsor and part of it, and they were denied.
Yeah.
Publicly, yes, we denied them. Like, you don't belong here. So this beautiful sisterhood said that I don't belong to them.
Right.
And that hurt. I remember writing on Facebook, I see you all. The day of the march, the big national march. I see you all and I hear you. And that was hard for me because I felt very hurt, but I wanted people, like, I wanted my sisterhood, even though I felt kicked out of it, I wanted them, like, I get it. I see you. I hear you. I'm not going to be silent on this. You speaking your voice is important, even though I feel like you just took mine out.
So this is
hard because
I'm so proud of you.
We accidentally shame each other, I think.
Yeah.
When we're talking about a sisterhood and when it sounds just a certain way.
Yeah. It's okay.
It starts to.
So this is the thing that I've been saying over and over again that I was hoping we would get to. Is the patriarchy only succeeds if women pit each other against each other. So as long as we are busy fighting each other, then we can't pay attention to what other things are happening. What other things are happening in the world that we could potentially rise up and, like, take over, like feeding people and making sure everyone has health care and all of these other things that I think are really critically important to us as women and as community builders. It's Mean Girls turns 40. Yes.
It's what?
Mean Girls turns 40, right?
Yeah.
But let me say this to you, Amy.
Okay.
I want to say two things.
Okay.
The first thing I want to say is there are many of us in the feminist community who see a really big disconnect between being pro-life and empowering women.
Yes.
And because there are many of us that believe that a woman does not have full autonomy over her own body if she cannot make the decisions that are in her best interest. And this is where you and I digress. Yeah. And I think for many of us, the Women's March symbolized the first time that there was an gigantic surge forward in pro-choice women being safe enough to come together and express ourselves and march that way. Now,
but then it should have been the Women's March.
Right.
Then it should have been the pro-choice march.
I understand what you're saying. So, but I think also, and Liz is actually making this point, being pro-life has historically shamed women's choices, right? This is the problem with labeling it pro-life or pro-choice. And I think that this goes back to the language of being anti-choice, which I think can be offensive to a lot of people who are conservative and who would rather use the term pro-life. I think the biggest thing for me is that this is why you and I talk, because we can't keep fighting with each other. Yeah. We have to find spaces where we can come together. Yeah. And you can understand that being a feminist, to me, isn't about excluding, but it's really about helping you understand why I truly believe in a woman's right to choose, no matter what. That does not mean, and I will publicly state this, I do not believe in abortion for myself.
I knew that. That surprised me.
I don't believe in it for myself, but that doesn't mean I have the right, because it's between a woman and her God.
And that, so here's where
this is where I think media has messed this up.
Well, and also when you say, Liz, that pro-life has shamed other women, I feel like the pendulum's swinging or swung, and maybe that's just because of my lens. And now I'm unloving. Now I'm not pro-woman. Now I'm not about rights, because I believe that in the womb it's a child, not just outside the womb.
Right.
Because like I said in the last talk, if people believe this is a child and not just cells, how I want to defend it makes total sense. It's I know murder is a strong word, but that, I mean, if you believe that that's life in a child, then maybe you can empathize with my passion to protect it. That laws would protect life.
Yeah.
It's interesting because with the gun laws, we're just going. So with the gun laws, people are saying assault rifles, ban them. Why? Right? And we've talked a little bit about guns, but we don't need that kind of caliber. We don't need that kind of gun. What you're doing is you're suggesting to people to put down their right to any kind of gun because it's not safe, because we're seeing it do this more harm than good. In similar way, don't forget what you're about to say.
Yeah, I won't.
Okay, in a similar way, I am suggesting that women consider, yes, your body is your choice, but if that's life, then maybe we willingly give up a right, see, that's where now law versus not law, but willingly give up a right for the sake of someone. Just like some people are saying giving up the right of a certain gun for the sake of someone else. I know it's really, really different and messy because it's a body and it's emotion and it's sometimes difficult circumstance. There are some similarities to me.
And here is where I think Cheryl just actually put it perfectly.
Okay.
It's a personal decision between your God and yourself.
Then why are we, okay, so Cheryl, I totally get it. And I get that this is super sticky.
This is the sticky
point. But if I believe that that is life, just like we have a law against murder, you can understand why I would want a law to protect that life.
So I can, but I also know history. And history says that it's conservative Republicans that supported Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Not conservative.
Yeah.
Not liberal Democrats.
Right.
It was not. So this has also been in our lifetime. Well, maybe my lifetime because I'm a little older than you. Because I'm a little bit older. This conversation was not happening until about, let's see, Roe was 1973, so it was right about 1975, 76-ish, and then Reagan came in, and this is really where it got completely taken to a different place. But I want to get back to the feminism, because we could get stuck on pro-life, anti-choice, pro-life. Sure. We could get stuck on this all day. I want to get back to the feminist thing, because, as Liz just pointed out, being a feminist is also about addressing issues of poverty, rape, healthcare, housing, food access, the ability to raise our children the way we want to.
What do you mean by that?
The ability to have the resources to raise our kids in a healthy, strong environment. And to be able to dismantle the systems that keep us from being able to do that, or keep other people from being able to do that. I think one of the ways that I can explain that is acknowledging that in this nation in particular, we have difficulty allowing women the space to raise their children like they want to.
I don't understand that.
So if a woman wants to raise a child in a nonviolent neighborhood,
okay,
feminists would say that we work together to make sure that we secure that system for her, right? Okay. So that she has access to money so she can pay her rent, that she has access to safe and healthy food so that she can feed her family, that she has access to contraception if she wants it, that she has transportation, that she has a job if she wants it or not, or a partner who can work if she wants that. Like that all of those things are her freedoms and her choice. That's what we work to build up those systems so that she has choices. What happens is that there is the system of patriarchy is in place to keep women from being able to do those things. That is what feminists believe.
I have a hard time seeing that.
Right.
Or agreeing with that statement.
Tell me why.
Well, I'm a really linear, no, it's good. I'm a really linear, practical thinker. So in my head, I'm thinking, where have I observed? How have I seen? I don't get why men would create a system where women can't feed her children food. Like, I'm not seeing what you're saying.
Because it's a message of power and control. Yes, Sarah, I'm in Newburgh today.
She comes to me, but she says she likes the drive.
I do. I love the drive.
Like, I hear you say that, but I don't see it. I know you believe it, but I don't see it. Can you give me an example of a particular institute? I mean, what does it look like to try to prevent a woman from those things?
Let's talk about Portland.
Okay.
In Portland, there were places and spaces where people were able to live and make a good living and do their thing.
Okay.
And then the cost of living got really, really expensive for people.
Yeah.
And so now there are a great many women in particular, and especially women of color, who aren't able to make a living like they used to be able to because they can't afford to live.
Yeah.
Like they can't afford rent. They can't afford
Yeah.
the cost of food. They can't afford those things because as the cost to live has risen, and this is all over the country, the wages have not.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so this sounds like an affordable housing issue, not a woman issue.
It is absolutely a woman issue, especially if you're a single mom and you can't afford to live.
Well, is that because, okay.
So I'm trying to get you to like look outside of your world a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that doesn't mean it doesn't exist just because you
Totally.
haven't seen it.
Oh, I 100% agree.
And so,
but what I have
a problem with all of this is that it's not linear. Like it's short of dropping you into inner city Portland and being like, have fun getting out, right? Like walk around, let's see how you do, you know? I don't know how to explain it. I think there are books, like Liz just said, so they call me a terrorist. So they call you a terrorist. Yeah.
Is that a book?
Yes.
Oh, you told me about that.
Yes.
I didn't read that on the plane.
Oh my God, you have to read it. So you go into Liz, it's a woman issue. It is a woman issue. It absolutely is. You just got back from a third world country.
Yeah.
Where you went to provide services and
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And to do things based on your belief system.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. You went there
I did.
as a Christian,
I
right?
went yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah. But keep going.
My belief in feminism and what it can give to communities is similar to that.
Hmm.
And mind you, I'm dealing with a lot of faith-based issues right now in my world.
Yeah.
I wish it was easier for me to explain why this is the thing for me.
It's your thing.
It's my mission.
Yeah.
It's my purpose.
Yeah.
But I can't articulate it as well as I wish I could.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, isn't that the case with all things we feel really passionate about? You can't wrap words around why your heart bleeds for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I totally understand that. I think what's difficult then in conversation is I can hear you give me examples of how there would be challenges in situations for women, and I can't see how that's a women-only issue, like affordable housing, like that example. So for me, this conversation is difficult when I can't understand the gender category attached to it. I think that's where there's a gap. And there are so many comments that we haven't been able to.
No, I know.
Sorry, guys.
Inner city property made mostly by white men that prohibit social services. Yes, because white men are in charge. I mean, it's not like black women from the inner city are in charge of social services, because they're not. So, especially in social work, like if you, as most caseworkers, most on the ground social workers are women in every agency, in every situation, all the way up until administration. And then it's mostly white men.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, I saw a picture of the immigration meeting in the Oval Office, and it was all old white men.
And it's all old white men, just like when they do the birth control stuff. It's all old white men.
Yes, and I agree that underrepresented leadership for sure.
And I just actually was having this conversation with a group of women around the country who are running for office, and Melanie and I have been talking about how the system of lawmaking is based on old white men, right? It's not everything in this country. Men are the ones making the decisions for everybody because they feel like that's what's in the best interest of the community, of the nation, of the state, of all of those things. And yes, there are moments where, for example, your CEOs were women, or your dad was like, your mom was the pastor of your church. Your dad was the loving dad. But those are instances. That's not the majority experience for every single person in America growing up. And so it leads to all these other issues about men making the laws, having control, limiting the amount of money that we can make. Not all of us, but the majority of people run into all of these rules.
So the critical thinker in my head is saying, how do you know just because white men are making the rules, they're making the rules specifically to push down, hold down?
Because they don't like to be challenged. And that is a historical thing all the way from the 1400s on.
Yeah, I don't think any of us really like to be challenged. Sure. I mean, yes, I agree. But okay, so again, another challenge for someone on the other side who doesn't quite get it, I admit I don't quite get it, is how are the laws specifically biased towards men when you look at legislation and it doesn't say women can't, men can, right? There's not legislation that says that kind of crap.
Who's making the legislation?
Okay, men, I get it, but I'm saying the legislation itself, how is it biased? How does it oppress women? And maybe this is one of those concrete answers I'm looking for that maybe isn't so concrete. I get that I get the misrepresentation in men, white men. I understand your comments. I don't see where it drills down into this law was passed because obviously a white man and it means women can't.
I think I am going to come up with some.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you some concrete
case study-ish.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Great.
I'm going to give you some
so willing
concrete reasons, and I'll post them here in the chat
Perfect.
too so that people can see them. Where that has absolutely been the case. Okay. And that it has deeply impacted women, especially women of color.
Yeah.
You still have to read when they call you a terror.
Okay. I promise you I will have to. I promise.
It'll take you a day.
What?
Well, what happened?
Are you guys still there? Our screen went black. We've been so non-active on our screen.
Okay. So, we're at like the 33-minute mark.
Good golly. How does this go so fast?
I don't have any idea.
One of the things I wasn't sure if people were curious about is the relationship between Christianity and feminism. I don't know if I have really strong feelings about that, except I was curious for you. This is not my one question. I still have that.
Okay.
But as being someone who's reading through the Bible, figuring out God, what do you do with the verses that say women should be submissive? What do you do? How do you reconcile that?
So,
I know what I do, but I'm curious how you reconcile.
I read through the Bible the very first time when I was in 3rd grade.
Okay.
I don't remember.
James version.
I don't know. I read the Book of Mormon and the Bible at the same time. Okay. I don't remember it. Hi, Chris. I have been trying to figure out this Bible thing for like the last 6 months. I don't read it very well. But I'm trying to read books about the Bible so I can read the Bible more.
And we're doing it together.
And we're doing that together.
We just started a book together.
I don't know what to do with the passages that are
because they're going to make you mad.
I know, not very favorable towards women. So maybe I'm avoiding them right now, to be perfectly honest.
Someday, you're going to get to them and you're going to be pissed off.
I know.
Because sometimes I get to verses in the Bible and it pisses me off.
Okay.
And I think
maybe that's a place where we can have more thorough conversations.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But I do think that the Bible has been used to suppress women.
Yeah, well, clearly.
Erroneously.
I don't think it was stoning women is really horrible.
I think even currently.
Yeah. It gets used. You and I have talked about the misuse of the Bible.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Good golly. Yeah. Terrible. So, and I think it feeds into some of the problems that we're discussing now.
Yeah. I know it feeds into the problems we're discussing now.
Yeah.
Because historically, the Bible has been used to create scenarios, and this actually goes back to, I know you guys are getting really sick of me talking about this, but Witch is the best book ever, and you all have to read it, by Lisa Lister. It's so good. But one of the things she talks about is the witch hunts, and that those were the very first instances where women were taught to go against each other to preserve their own lives. Because the only way that Christianity survived those moments, because women were more in charge of the community than men at that moment, and they were much more powerful. And the only way to keep Christianity alive at that point back in the 1400s was to pit women against each other. If you're a good Christian, you're going to turn in your sisters who are doing these bad things, and that's where it all started. And boy, howdy, could we just get into a whole entire other conversation about that. But I think that is what predicates making these conversations even more complicated and even more angering for so many people. And I have told you this before, I believe the Bible is a really great story. And I'm not quite sure where my whole work, whole thing goes into that. So, and I want to be mindful of people's time too. Yes, are you normally, yes, Corey, which is mind blowing. Yes.
Are you normally 30 minutes on these?
Normally we're about 30 minutes. So, and I know everybody has all of these amazing comments, and I don't think you and I could ever cover it in like even 3 hours.
Oh, right? It hurts my heart. You know, when you said your heart bleeds for things, my heart bleeds when things are said about the Bible words. Some of those comments really hurt.
Why?
It is a book that brings hope, and they don't get it. And I get that it's complicated, and I get it was written by men. I do. But that hurts to read, because this is a book of hope. And it details the love of a God that was a God of second chances and third chances and fourth chances. And he always redeemed his people. He's always for his people. And the book is a narrative of so many different kinds across years and years and years. And it's a beautiful story of a God that never gives up. And to hear it described this way is difficult. And then it's not a perfect book, and it is written by men. We, for those of us in faith, we believe that it's inspired by God. And we could talk about that forever, but it's just hard.
Yeah. These are complicated, really hard conversations.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
We're running out of time. We're past time.
Take a deep breath. This is why we're doing this.
That's so good.
This is why we're doing this, because everybody should have a safe space to express this really complicated shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm so grateful to do this.
Like, hopefully you and I are modeling that it's okay to have these really hard fucking conversations. Yeah. This is not easy.
Yeah.
We have to be able to sit in rooms with each other and have these folks say, well, this is how I feel. It's just really important. I think it's really, really important.
Yeah.
And I hate that I didn't get you tagged in here, because none of your friends are on here. It drives me crazy.
It's okay.
Because I wanted their input because of last time. So let's, so Liz is saying, I don't believe it's your religion. We can't base laws on your beliefs. And I think that is the next conversation for you and I to have.
I don't think our legislation should be a moral, I don't think a government should tell people.
And I think for many of us, especially in places where conservative Christians are the majority of the legislatures, there is no separation of church and state. And that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, listen, that is another good conversation, because I think if we listen to each other, we might be less mad about that.
Yeah.
I feel like we can have that conversation. Good golly, friend. I'm all kinds of angst about these comments.
I know.
Whew.
So take a big... Well, so Sarah hit a nerve with you. And then she said it's helpful to separate the Bible from relationship.
You can't
with
do
Jesus.
that. You can't
But you
separate
don't
it.
believe that.
No.
You don't believe that.
We only know Jesus through the Bible.
And Cheryl says the God she believes in was a radical mover and shaker, and Jesus would be disappointed in us today.
Oh, disappointed, yeah. And then this great, amazing, immeasurable grace and love he pours out instead of judgment.
Yes. So,
all the things, friends.
We're going to ask the questions, our final questions.
Oh, are we?
And we're going to keep this conversation. Yeah, hell yeah. We're going to end this on the question note. And we're going to keep this conversation going. Okay. And I'm excited to see your friends weigh in on this because I really want to see your friends weigh in on this too. And next time I'm going to figure out how to tag it because that was dumb. So, stop looking at, these are like a collection of questions I want to ask you.
Oh God.
Okay, are you ready? Is everybody ready? Okay, here we go. What is something you think everyone should do at least once in their lives?
What? This is not topic related? Mine's totally topic related.
That's okay. I think it's totally topic related. What is one thing you think everyone should do once in their lives?
Okay, I'm gonna answer quickly. Whitewater rafting down the Nile River in Uganda.
Well, there we go.
It is insanely amazing.
That's fucking awesome. It's the best answer ever.
The other answer, because I just got back from Africa, not Uganda, but my other first thought was sponsor a child and then go visit them. Because then every month when you write a letter or write a check, it's hard to describe that relationship. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sponsor a child and write them and build relationship and then someday visit. Those are the two things that came to mind. I don't know why.
That's really good.
I don't like my question. I wish I had more time to think.
I love your question.
Okay, so this was my question to you. If you could have a magic wand and you could change one thing instantly that would improve the lives of women, just one thing, but instantly that would improve the lives of women, what would it be?
Full access to reproductive health care no matter what. Every time. To make every choice they ever wanted to make. That's what it would be.
That's your one thing?
That's my one thing.
Heaven help us.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys for participating.
Oh, Sarah, I love that.
Thanks.
And look, Cheryl's like, learn about other religions and their similarities. That's a good one too.
Yeah.
Watch out for the hippos.
Oh, they're the most dangerous animal in the world, Andrea. Those hippos.
Thank you all for being here with us. We love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.